closed, but I'm in my camera app, I guess it is. I don't know. I went to the Windows homepage.
The camera app.
Now it's working.
Yeah.
It's working there. Let's see if it's going to work here.
And then in Meet, you're familiar with choosing your own camera in Meet, right?
Oh, is that up in, where's that?
That's in settings. Yeah, it's
Settings.
Under settings. And then it's the second option down. It looks like a little camera icon. If you're looking at my screen, I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
And then it says
It just
camera.
says camera failed.
And it lets you select if you've got other options. I would check and see if you can select it.
I only have one option and it says camera failed.
Okay.
So,
and you're certain,
under my
you're certain
camera,
you haven't left Zoom running like in the taskbar down in the little corner. Nope. Okay. What about another app like Skype?
Well, just a minute.
Reboot.
Yeah, I mean, Judy's right. I'm trying to keep you from having to reboot, but that would fix the problem because it's Windows. That would always fix the problem.
I'm just going to be incognito.
There you go, but we'll miss your smiling face. I see Bill's there too. Everybody's here. This is great. Well, this is the San Carlos Computer Club. I'm Scott Stimpson from International Computer Solutions, coming to you remotely from Phoenix, Arizona, actually Mesa, Arizona, from my friend's kitchen table. And we fly to Alaska this evening. And I have one carry-on that is all full of hard drives and headsets and a computer, a Mac Mini, and optical drives, and Alexa's in this bag. This is the bag that if they come up and go, would you like to check your carry-on? It's like, no, this stays with me at all times.
Good idea.
It's my precious.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, when you say that we are flying.
Say that again?
Who's the we that's going to Alaska?
Oh, Emily is joining me. I'm bringing my eldest up to help me crank up the bed and breakfast.
Cool.
Yuya and Bibiana have stayed behind. They'll come join us throughout the summer, but Bibi has to finish school, so they'll show up in the middle of the summer, stay a month, and then come back because she's got to get back into school. And Emily's on hiatus, so we're putting her to work. She's learning the family business.
Are you at Omar's place?
No, I'm at my friend Pat and JD's. They're lifetime friends of the family. But I did get to see Omar because the reason I have a work shirt is because I was doing work for the same organization he works for. All yesterday I was programming Google Sheets to do queries and extract information. I've gotten like this crash course in writing sophisticated Google spreadsheets.
I'm right next door in Queen Creek, but how do you like this 106 temperature?
Yeah, that's nuts. I don't want to go outside. I think it was 108 yesterday. Yeah, it's crazy. That's a lot.
Almost 50% humidity here today.
Not even June yet, and it's 108 degrees in Phoenix. I'm sorry, Paul, what was that?
It's almost 50% humidity today because there's cloud cover.
Ah.
It's going to snow here on Saturday.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say. we have rainy, overcast. We had a thunderstorm last night, and it's gray. Well, no, the sun's kind of out today, but when we go out, it's so windy that I have to wear sweaters as much as I did in San Carlos in the winter. But our spring hasn't started.
It's hot and dry and fire warnings every day. We had a fire about 3 miles from me, but they got it out pretty quickly, and then it's going to snow. So
wow,
that's Colorado.
Well, we've been watching the weather in Alaska, and we're going to Anchorage, and they're having highs of 50 55 degrees and lows of 37. Emily are like, what are we doing? In fact, when we were looking at the weather the other day, I realized I didn't even throw a jacket in my bag. I've got jackets in Alaska, but once again, I will be showing up without. I'll be showing up in cold weather without any protection. Hey, Pop, welcome. Hey, happy birthday from last week. I have talked to him since then, but he wasn't in the club, and I just want to give him a shout out in the club. Happy birthday. And are you listening, Pop? Are you online right now? Hello?
Yes, I'm listening. Thank you very much.
I just wanted you to know that Justin offered to pick us up, so you guys don't need to worry about picking us up.
Wow. Okay. Well, I think we'll be set to have you downstairs when you get here.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Well, if I need a key or something, I don't think I have a key with me.
Well, we'll leave the front door upstairs unlocked.
Awesome.
So Scott,
Yeah,
I have
sure.
two things. First of all, you said you were working with Omar, but is Katie
Yeah,
also
Katie's
working
there as well. We
Yeah.
all have the same mutual friend, and she's just brought all of us into the fold of this company that they're running here in Phoenix.
Cool. The second thing is I talked to two Jims this morning, James and Carolyn, and Jim and Linda Cunningham, and they are both traveling in their motorhomes right now. One, James and Carolyn will be passing into Canada in about 2 hours. They've just come up the California, Oregon. They got past Seattle yesterday, talking a lot about fuel prices. And
Oh, yeah. No, we stopped for lunch when we drove up, and it was 4 of us, and it was an IHOP, and we spent over $60. It's nuts. I'm like, well, wait a second.
Jim said he spent, it cost him $6 a gallon in California.
Oh, yeah, I think he got off easy.
But
he's got diesel.
depending on the motorhome he's in, that could cost him $1 a mile.
Yeah, well, he's got a big one, but it's diesel.
Yeah, still $1 a mile.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah, he said 10 miles to the gallon, so he's doing a little bit better. So
yeah, we'll see what happens. What's the gas prices in Alaska like, Bob? If you're still there. I know in Arizona here we saw prices that were between $4.30 and $4.80 traveling. Like that's really high for Arizona. So I just dropped in the chat a link to the document. Truthfully, the only things that are on it right now are topics that we didn't get to last week. If any of you have showed up with topics, shout them out right now so we know and we can discuss them. We are, this is going to be interesting for Emily and I because we were thinking this morning, we remember that there's no mask mandate on the planes. And we're looking at each other going, I'm wearing a mask.
Seems like we had a carryover excuse me, a carryover subject trying to get Linda's computer information onto her laptop.
Oh, that's right. But Linda's not with us yet. But you know what? We've got another carryover. Judy sent me information about the clipboard. I meant to put it in here. And it made me feel like maybe I hadn't been very clear in the last meeting that the clipboard is not a piece of software. I mean, it is, but it's not an application that you look for. It's in virtual memory. And that's really why I was like, it's up here by your ear, because it's not really anywhere. It's just sitting in the background in
Actually,
memory.
it's unfindable on an iPad. There
Because
is no such place.
that's right. There's no place for it.
There's no place to pull that document out, so it's very annoying when it says save to clipboard.
No, I'm sorry. We're still misunderstanding each other because that link, when you click on it, is saving the link to the clipboard, which is just in the ether. And now,
Yes, and you cannot get that link anywhere.
And now you need to paste that link.
I can't copy it. It goes away. It says save to clipboard and then it is gone.
Okay, but Judy, that's what it's doing is it's copying the link. And the link is on the clipboard. And when you do the
So if I go into a browser and I go to a blank space and I click paste, it should be there.
That's right.
Okay.
That's the way that works. And we talked about it a lot last week. And when you sent me that, I'm like, wow, we're still, I must not have been clear that this is the case with the clipboard is a concept, like virtual memory is a concept. It's not something you look for. And what actually makes it a little convoluted is Windows for years had a clipboard application, and you could go pull up that application and you could see what was currently stored in that memory spot. But there's never been a need for an application. And so later they removed the clipboard application. It's not fair to say it's removed. They really redefined it in Windows. And I've mentioned it before. If you hold down the Windows key and the V key, which is the typical paste key, what you end up with is a list of all the things that you've saved to the clipboard, and you can individually select which one you want to paste from to do your copy paste. Those of you with Windows computers can try that. They can just hit the Windows key and the V key. And what will pop up is a little box that says clipboard with a list of the things that you've been saving in this session, these things that you've been copying, the sentence that you copied out of your email that you're going to move to another email.
Okay, but where are mine?
Well, no, they don't have such a thing on iPad.
Okay.
To look at these things. I'm talking about Windows.
But okay, so when it tells me that it's been saved to my clipboard, that is an invalid thing for my Mac devices.
Well, it's not invalid, but it's using language that's very confusing because you're looking for an application and you shouldn't be looking for an application. Clipboard is a concept like virtual memory is a concept. Mm-hmm. Right? The user never sees that stuff. It's happening in the background of the operating system. I
understand that, but everything that says save to my clipboard should be accessible someplace, but it is not.
It is. It's accessible from your paste. And I'm just...
No, only the last thing, not the ones before.
I'm making a distinction between Windows and the iOS platform. I'm saying that Windows has an extended clipboard. They actually have the ability for you to keep track of all the things that you've made copies of.
But I don't have that option.
But you don't have that.
Okay.
I wouldn't be...
Can I say something really quick on another subject? I don't know if any of you know Carlene Leonard, but she died on Saturday night.
There in San Carlos?
Yeah. She lived across from the gym, the old gym in the white wall with the blue trim, and very active in dog rescue and stuff. So I don't know whether any of you know her or not, but just to let you know if you do.
We saw the notice, and we also saw Carlene usually on Thursday nights at Mike and Heidi's at Calibri.
Right.
And noticed she was walking with a walker and she looked pretty frail.
Well, she had broken her hip twice. Once out in front of Santa Rosa's, and then the other time, I don't know whether it was at home or not, but so she was getting better, but I guess she fell again. So, yeah. But anyway, and back to the, Fred just posted 50% had masks on. On my flights to and from New Orleans, I was probably one of 5 with a mask on.
Really? One of 5.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to wear masks.
The scary part was in the tram going between terminals in Denver and in New Orleans, because you're just jammed in there.
Hey, in case you're interested, San Carlos and Sonora have lifted the mask mandate. I don't know
I
if
read
anybody...
that.
Yeah, it just happened last week. Apparently, I mean, we've been in green for a long time. We've been in green for weeks now. I would like to say months, but I haven't paid that close of attention. But I can say over the last few months, every time I've gone to pay attention, we've been in green. And so from what I understand, the Secretary of Health looked at the data and said, we haven't had a COVID death in over 3 weeks. We can lift the mask mandate. And I personally think it's a good idea. The Mexicans have been very good about following these rules. They've been very good about keeping themselves from being infected. We haven't had great outbreaks of COVID. And what I've seen right before I was leaving, what I'd seen is people just getting tired of masks. It was probably the couple of weeks before I left was the first time I found myself going into an establishment and watching others come in just not wearing a mask, like it's not even in their mind to wear a mask. Just in the last couple of weeks, I would be in places where you'd expect all the employees to be masked, and it looked more like it was voluntary. And my concern was always that in Mexico, we would suffer from the same problems that have happened in the United States. COVID's not going away, and there may come a time when the government's going to say, put your masks back on. And I was really getting concerned that if we were in the green and nobody was getting sick, that the government would carry on this mask mandate until the Mexicans are like, no, I'm done. They just start taking them off. And I feel like they've ended this mask mandate right at the perfect time where it's like, yes, you can take them off. Just be ready to put them back on if something happens. And that's exactly the way you want your community to be behaving, like all on the same. I don't think, in my opinion, it doesn't look like anybody's put masks back on in the States regardless of what happens.
Of course, in Mexico, it'll take 4 years before the stores take the sign off the front of their buildings saying you need to wear a mask.
Right, yeah. It's going to just be a piece of paper that was printed from their printer that was stuck up there, and by the time it comes down, it'll have to be scraped off.
I heard of it.
I was over at Sam's Club, and I parked way out so that my car would get washed. And I'm walking up to Sam's Club, and I'm almost to the door, and I look down, and there's a mask in the dirt there on the street. And I made me realize that I'd forgotten my mask in the car. So I said, oh, well, what the hell? I walked back to my car.
Yes, what were you going to add?
Yeah, I can't remember the exact statistic, but I was impressed by the fact that they believe that between people getting the vaccination and those that have had COVID, that like 90% of the population is immune.
It's a herd immunity.
Yeah, herd immunity.
That's what we needed. That's what we needed.
And I think this was saying the United States basically has reached herd immunity.
Well, that's very interesting. I haven't seen that yet, but I mean, that was the goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, except that there's variants, and so it's going to be like the seasonal flu. We're going to have an update occasionally. Maybe they say it might be part of the seasonal flu shot.
Yeah, it makes sense. They've been doing testing to see if you can combine the two, and what I've read, they've had really good results with it. So I think you're right, Paul. I think whatever they're going to do, they're going to make it as easy as possible. Also, look at what's going on with China. They've got that zero tolerance policy for COVID, and all of a sudden they're just getting slammed. They've had very little numbers, and now they've been under lockdown. It's affecting our supply chain again. they've never had the wave of COVID that we had in the United States and other countries. They're like catching up now.
Plus, I don't think their vaccination reliability is quite up to the standard of the United States.
They've got a bigger herd than we do too.
Oh yeah,
That's for
I
sure.
reckon 1.8 million.
Well, I have something from last week.
Million.
Please, Paul, go right ahead.
I sent you, I emailed my background picture.
You did, and I didn't share it. It's been a crazy week. I'm happy to be here because I'm in total transition.
That's right. Maybe from Alaska you can mail
I
it.
thought you were back at Tequila's again.
No, that was one shot, single shot, one off.
I will get it out and share it with you folks, but now isn't the moment. I was actually, Paul, when I saw you pop on with your picture, I'm like, damn it, I forgot the picture. I woke up this morning at 4:30. I sat right up in bed and went, oh my God, I haven't done anything. I don't have the announcements ready. I don't have the document ready.
The email was a little late too.
Yeah, everything was behind this morning. I was knocking it out before 6 o'clock this morning.
But you don't seem to have any computer problems or internet problems.
No, I am on Cox Cable in Arizona, and because of the nature how I'm having to work, I'm on one laptop. I don't have other screens, so I can't actually do much. I'm tapped out as far as resources. Like I can't really do anything else. But in my other environment, I would be trying to do other stuff, and in this environment, I can't even try to do something. Not even worth it. But we got great internet, that's for sure. You know, my internet in the Ranchitos is a combination of a lousy Telmex connection and Juan's X-Pro connection. With anybody who's had experience with that, it's up and down. It's good. I'm not complaining. I'm very happy to have it because I don't have anything else. And here it's a solid Cox cable connection. You can really see the difference. Or hear it. So, what other topics do we have going on? I did put some stuff in this document if you're interested. Wait, I've got an AirTags article here talking about people that were getting followed by an AirTag. If you guys aren't familiar with how the Apple AirTags work, is that they're trying very hard to make it a secure system. And part of that is they don't want an AirTag to follow a stranger. And so if you own an iPhone, and there is a random AirTag that has ended up near you, it will alert you that there's an AirTag. And so what this is an article talking about that concept, except in this case, they're thinking it was an error. It was just, they were either moving with a crowd of people that had the AirTag, but a phone for somebody visiting Disneyland kept announcing that there was an AirTag following their family. And it followed them all the way out to the park. They kept getting these messages. They searched all their luggage, everything that was with them, because that's really the concern, is that these will be stalker tags. That somebody will want to keep track of you and they'll toss one of these in your stuff. And the way the AirTags work is that all the iDevices in the planet have formed their own network of communication. And when an AirTag is near an iDevice, it announces itself. And that iDevice will announce to the network where that particular AirTag is. This is great because if you've got them attached to your keys, you can find your lost keys. And in the case of my lost luggage, somebody has already started using AirTags to track luggage. In fact, there's a great story of a guy that, and I can't remember whether I shared it with you already or not, where he's fighting with an airlines from London, from South Africa to London, where his luggage was lost. They found it. They delivered it to the wrong address. He can see pictures of the house where the luggage is, but nobody's helping him go get it. And the reason he knows that it was found, delivered to England, and delivered to the wrong address is because he put an AirTag in each one of his bags so he can track them on a map. And I thought, what a great travel tip. If you were going to go on a cruise, if you're going to go on a long journey through Europe, I was an iPhone user, I think I'd invest in some AirTags and stick one in each one of my bags. Well, this article is talking about people being...
Those items are very expensive. It's not like you just
right. I think
pop
it's
one in each of your bags.
I think
they're really expensive.
I think you buy 3 for $100.
Yeah.
But beauty, remember, everything from Apple's expensive. So that's a given.
Well,
we already knew that.
I understand that, but when you just pop them into your luggage, and you have attached to this, and you could have hundreds of dollars invested in AirTags.
Yes, yeah, you absolutely could. They are competitively priced against the alternative, which was those tracker tags, and consequently, I don't even think those are on the market anymore. I think they drove them out of business. But these are for finding your lost stuff. And it seems like that's not a bad investment, especially for like somebody like me that travels with a lot of tech. That would make a lot of sense, especially if I'm somebody that lives in that economy. I am buying iDevices and live in that world, then it's probably not that expensive for those folks to go, I'm going on a 60-day tour of Europe. I'm gonna buy AirTags for all my luggage.
On the ship here, everybody has a tag, and I can be walking down the hall towards my stateroom, and it'll unlock the door for me. It keeps track of where everybody is. I'm not sure it's great, but it does. Basically, that's what's going on with it. And, it's just the same size as an AirTag.
Well, you know what, Fred? What you just reminded me of, I didn't realize I brought this as a topic until you just said that. But I've been staying with my friend Mariah, and she had 2 experiences that I thought were really appropriate things to share on the Computer Club. Pardon me. One was she's got a new electric car, a BMW, and she spent her time complaining about how the keyless entry is teaching her bad habits. She told me that they had gone hiking, and she brought her purse along with her and then left it in the car, which, I mean, whether that's safe or not, that's really up to you. But what was what was disconcerting is that her car keys were in the purse. And because they don't need to be in an ignition to start the car, they just need to be near the car. And what she's talking about is that the bad habits that she's talking about is she's gotten in the habit of just jumping in the car and going. The car just unlocks itself with her. If she's got her purse with her, the car just unlocks as she approaches, locks itself up as she walks away. It's ready to hit a start button because the key is within the distance of the car. And she's like, this is crazy. I have lost all my security skills because it's just too easy to have this associated experience. And they had gone hiking. She left the purse in the car and left the car unlocked and ready to drive the whole time they were out on the hike, and didn't realize it until they were making their way back. Fortunately, nobody had messed with the car. But it's a good example of how we need to keep practicing these good behavior securities. That just amazing how, like, a normal thing like, okay, well, I'll leave my purse here. I'll stick it under the seat. Nobody's going to see it or care. But because the keys are in the purse as well, the car is unlocked and it's ready to drive.
My Lexus does that, except that if Jen and I both have our fob in our pockets, or she has hers in her purse, she leaves it in the car and I leave and try to lock the car. It won't lock. And it won't lock because that extra fob is in the car. So it's a little bit smart that way.
Yeah, or the opposite of smart. I mean,
But it won't
I
let.
was going to mention.
go ahead, Fred.
I was going to mention yesterday I went into one of the stores on the boat here, and I'm looking around, and the lady that was at the cash register says, "Hi, Mr. Godfrey, how are you today? Are you having a good trip?" I haven't said who I am, what I am. I looked around at her computer terminal, and here's my picture on it.
Yeah, yeah. You're describing the experience I had a few years ago when I approached the border to cross into the United States, and they were like surprised I was there early. What are you doing here early? And where's your family? I'm like, okay. And it occurred to me, that's when it occurred to me they've got all that information on the computer. In fact, in that respect, if anybody's interested, I failed at getting my passport renewed twice because I'm an idiot and I should have just let my wife help me do it because I don't have good attention to details when it comes to filling out paperwork. And they sent it back twice to me. And by the time I got it back the second time, there was no time to send it a third time. So I crossed the border with an expired passport. But here's the part that you probably need to know. Nobody cared. They didn't even blink an eye. They looked at my passport, looked at my daughter's passport, the passports of the other folks in the car we were in, didn't even mention that it was 2 years expired.
Did they ask you anything about Emily as an underage traveling with only one parent?
No.
Oh
No.
my goodness. If we try to come into the United States and we've got our grandchildren with us, we have to have letters signed by both custodial parents saying that we are allowed for them to travel with us. When we went with just Sarah and her daughter to the US, she had a letter signed by her partner saying that she was allowed to take her.
You know what, Cheryl? I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those things where, yes, that's the law, but it's left up to the discretion of the Border Patrol guy. And my wife and I cross with the kids so often at different times together and apart. I would bet that record pops up, and that's just not a question that they need to ask.
It'll be interesting to see if you came into Canada, if it would be asked.
Right.
Because she shows it coming and going both ways, from Canada to,
I would
US.
suspect you're right. I would suspect that they would give me a lot more guff simply because I don't typically travel to Canada, and my kids and I don't typically travel to Canada. They would see no record of us doing it in any recent history.
You're muted, Bill.
And so I imagine they would ask me all those questions and maybe insist that I had permission.
They might insist that you had a current passport too.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You don't have a problem crossing, you can't get here.
When we get a chance, I have a computer question.
Oh, please, Chester, this is your chance. Go ahead.
This is a Linda issue. I've been playing around trying to use Seagate, which is a external hard drive with a program for backing up. Trying to get that into my laptop from my regular computer into my laptop. It won't work. The program, Seagate program, when I put it on my laptop, it will not pick up what the program I've backed up from my regular desktop. So my question is this: if you go to C drive and you look at the user folder, it has all kinds of stuff in there other than the things you're familiar with. your music, your
Mhm.
it has all kinds of stuff in it. Should you copy all of that and put it over in your laptop, or just the selected folders?
Well, I think that's to your own discretion, Chester. Because when you're doing that manual copy, you're quite literally just grabbing files. You're not grabbing settings. You're not grabbing passwords and authentication. You're just grabbing files. And so I think that's really up to your own discretion.
But there's so much stuff in there, I don't know what it is. And
well, let me
Like-
suggest something to you, Chester, because I know you have a Microsoft. Well, you've had a bad experience with the OneDrive,
yeah.
but I've had lots of good experiences with the OneDrive, and you've got that subscription. And if you were to turn that on to the backup feature, it should put all that in the cloud, and when you sign into it on your laptop, it should synchronize all that stuff down into the laptop, and then you wouldn't have to think about it.
I think I'll give it another try just to get it over to the laptop. Then I can shut it off.
Keep me in mind if you have any problems. I'll help you figure it out.
I got it in my ear.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think it's a great way to go. I recommended it for my father. It's the way he's been swapping computers. We even had that one instance where some tech support had convinced him he needed to format it, and we had to figure out all his passwords again. But finally, when we did, the OneDrive just brought all his stuff back into his computer. Well, what else do we have going on? I did put some other articles in here. I think Cheryl was interested in this room sensor. Was that you, Cheryl, that was talking to me about the climate control room sensors from the Wise company?
Yeah, I just saw it on there. I thought it looked kind of interesting.
This is, if I can get it on. Got it. The
Bill has an open speaker.
so this looks like, oh, hey, are you joining us? Come over here. Emily's with me. Hey. Oh, you want me to plug that in? Right in?
Oh,
Hello.
ladies. Hi.
There we go.
Guess who's here?
My companion in crime.
Yes.
So we were just talking about a couple of topics. We were talking about this climate control room sensor that Wise has put out. And from what I can understand, this is not attached to any climate system. Like it's not the thermostat that comes with your room controllers. It's an additional room sensor. And the idea is that you have these individual devices that you can put in the corners of your house where you don't feel like you're getting the climate that you're expecting. And it's supposed to tell your climate control system,
Bad job.
well, it's supposed to monitor what happens. It's this fuzzy logic stuff where it's monitoring when your air conditioning or your heat comes on and when it goes off, and it reads these sensors across your space. So it can see in the bedroom it's 60 degrees, but in the living room it's 65, and in the kitchen it's 70, whereas out on the patio it's 59 degrees. And so it will make a map of these different thermal zones based on how your current climate system is running. And then it will adjust the way the current climate system is running to try and make a more desirable climate experience throughout your space.
Nice.
Auto comfort technology, it's called. I think that's all pretty neat. The idea of having sensors all around and having this kind of autonomous thinking about it. I know that in our house in Mexico, I catch myself all the time at different periods of the day, opening windows, closing curtains, turning air conditioners on, and it's all under this idea of trying to provide the best climate in our environment as we can. And so I kind of think of these sensors in this system as an autonomous version of that, where it's got certain things out there, like, I mean, it doesn't literally open windows, but you've got your air conditioners in different parts of the house. You have your heat zones in different parts of your house. And these work under the premise you've made that smart, and these make it smarter.
In my experience, Waze products come up with some very, very clever ideas, but unfortunately their software and their hardware is prone to very high failure rates. So I would definitely avoid any Waze product. They have even replaced products for me that were brand new and were totally unable to configure them because their software had kept track of an old IP address and there was no way to update it, even on a new product, because my ID had once been defined to them and they will never can update it.
That's infuriating, and I've heard stories of people selling Waze products secondhand and having those credentials go along with the product, even though they wiped it out and tried to set it up with new credentials. The old credentials still had access. I'm glad you mentioned that, Dave, because I was going to mention that Waze, we were very impressed with Waze for years, and just recently it's come out how shoddy their security has been. They took an approach to their shoddy security that's very Yahoo-ish, where they knew for 3 years that their product had been compromised, and they just didn't bother to let people know, and at the same time they didn't bother to fix it. They finally have fixed some of their products and pushed out updates, but it's really left a bad taste in all the tech people's mouths about the way they're doing business. They were doing a good job of providing good equipment at a really cheap price, but they haven't done a good job of maintaining safe, secure software.
It's my opinion that Waze hired a contractor to write their interface for the internet. And thus, they don't seem to have the knowledge or the capabilities to even understand and discuss what their problems are when you have internet problems. But the other side of it is the hardware fails frequently. So particularly if you check the internet for comments on Waze, you'll see lots of people who, yeah, it was great, it worked for X number of months, but it's been good for 2 years.
Good to know. Scott, I just, while I was looking at the Waze one, I scrolled down and I saw the one about the iOS 16. I put it in the document and I put it in the chat. But one thing about this, like this iOS 16, and it explains what it's going to do and all that, and it actually includes which ones it's compatible with and not compatible with. I have not done the most recent update on my phone because it's a 6S, and I wanted to read somewhere that this new update was going to be fine for it after my last experience with updating. So this article actually tells me that the iOS 15 that is available is fine for mine, but they're going to drop it. I think the paragraph says something about iOS 15 is currently supported on all iPhones from the iPhone 6S and on. A rumor claims that Apple will be dropping the iPhone 6S, 6X Plus, and SE from the lineup. If true, then OS 16 will be expected to run on devices from iPhone 7 and newer.
And
So there I have it.
yeah, and the SE, to be clear, that's the original generation, not the latest. That's the 2016. The SE is still around. There's just a new iteration of it. They still call it the SE. In fact, it's referring to, this article is referring to the SE 2016. And that 6S, we've been waiting for that. That was the next one to be cut off at some point. It's amazing how long they've offered updates to that piece of equipment. So that means that the next one that's at the bottom of the list will be the iPhone 7.
Yeah.
Well, this is neat. Is there a release date in here? I'm not seeing it. Scrolling
It's
through
June, the first week of June, it looks like.
First week of June. All right. I will be ready for questions, problems, and phone calls. Hey, just in case anybody's forgotten, I never recommend immediately updating to these things. I don't think you guys deserve the headaches that go along with being the guinea pig of the first installs. I always would wait until the second iteration on the new update. Judy's holding up 3. Is that in minutes, or do you wait for the third iteration?
That's the third iteration, and we are down to like 5 minutes or something.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess we each have our own ways of thinking about it. I think at the very least, if you're going to update to 16, you should wait till 16.2. And at that point, you still want to go out there and find out if anybody's having a problem with that release. I don't know if you guys remember, but in the past we had, I think it was 14 that was the issue, but the original release had problems. The fix to the release had problems. The next iteration, the 14.2, if it is 14, I'm thinking, it fixed the problems that existed in, no, the 14.1 fixed the problems in the 14. The 14.2 broke the fixes in 14.01 while fixing other problems. And so they had to release a third to fix both sets of problems. So my opinion is always normal people shouldn't have to be the ones dealing with these problems. If your equipment is working fine right now, there's no reason. You know what Apple does? They do it on all their equipment. They put these red dots showing you, and it's just this social engineering. It's like, oh my gosh, I got to get rid of the red dot. I follow the red dot, and it tells me I'm out of date, not secure. I got to be up to date. This is social engineering at its best. And I say ignore the red dots. If your equipment is working fine for you, that you're not searching for a solution. It's a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. You will want to update eventually, absolutely. I'm not saying that you're not going to want, you're going to want to update for new security fixes or new features, because we upgrade security all the time. You'll want to upgrade because there'll be fixes that weren't available in the previous release. But you do not want to do it quickly. You want to do it slowly. You want to wait until everybody's reporting good experience. New operating system. It looks like our call is going to end in 2 minutes, so I am going to start up the next meet so that we all have something to move to. What a difference stable internet makes. Even though I'm completely maxed out on the computer, I'm not dealing with any timeouts. Everything's just available to me. Like I'm driving a different
See you
computer.
next week.
Are you out of here,
Bye.
Dee? Bye.
I'm out. Bye.
And the rest of you, I will see you over on the other side. You able to hear okay?
I have nothing.
Well, disappointed. We need your input.
I got nothing, man.
Let's get this meeting up and going. This is hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait. I can't even click the button right now. We're here. Nobody give up. We're here. Yeah, no one, not even I can. Your meeting's safe. No one can join you. Yeah, not even me.
Yeah.
There's the join button. And now we're going to get hit with a slew of people ready to go. And I can't just hit the emit all without saying view all first. We're back.
Hello.
What
Hello,
is
Linda. We were
up?
missing you earlier.
Well, you guys all know Jim Ellison.
Sure.
Okay, well, his wife is very ill. We had her in Hermosillo. They wouldn't take her at SEMA because they wouldn't take her son's money over the phone. So they put her in the general hospital in Hermosillo. She had an operation. She has a blocked intestine. So yesterday, Banner and the girls helped me, and they got her to Nogales last night about 11 o'clock. So she's in the hospital in Nogales, and now they're transferring her up somewhere to Oro Valley, which I don't know yet, so I'm waiting to hear. So it's been a fiasco the last couple days, but she's in real bad shape, and I feel really bad. She's a good friend of mine.
Oh, Linda, I know we're all sorry to hear that. I hope she does well.
Yeah,
It's always tough
Yeah.
when your friends and family are sick like that, especially.
yeah.
Are all those transfers because of just payment and availability of healthcare?
Yeah, well, their biggest problem at that public health hospital, it isn't that. She said the care was pretty good, but they have no resources. The doctor that the doctor that did the first surgery on her came from SEMA because that's where they originally had gone. And then someone came up and was there, Mexican, and the girl just actually became a doctor. She lives in San Carlos.
No.
And you have to go over to the pharmacy and buy your own antibiotics and all that. So it was very difficult. But I have to say the girls at Banner and Green Valley really did it for me and told me exactly what to do to get her up here and everything.
All right.
So
Yeah, I would hope at this point, after so many years of this culture of folks living in San Carlos and frequenting Green Valley, frequenting Tucson and Arizona, I would hope those hospitals have dialed in that kind of thinking. Like, you got to get up here. This is how you can get up here.
right. So the doctor down there really didn't want her to go, and Jim said no, she's leaving, and he had to call the ambulance himself. You have to call the ambulance yourself. So he called the ambulance, and they took her to the border, and at the border, they called the fire department in Nogales, and they came and got her and took her to St. Mary's Hospital in Nogales.
And so she's there waiting to go to Green Valley.
Right. No, she's there waiting to go up to Oro Valley,
Oh,
North
Oro Valley.
Tucson.
Yeah, yeah.
But I have to thank the girls at Banner because they really helped me when I went over there. Because when you call on their main number at Banner, nobody will help you. So basically you have to walk in somewhere, and they were wonderful. One of the girls lives her parents live in Hermosillo, and the other one, her family lives somewhere near Hermosillo. So they were just wonderful to me and helped me out, and I got Jim situated. So they're up here now, and that's all that matters, and she's not well.
Well, I'm glad
So-
she's close for you. She's got you.
Yeah, Yeah, so I'm just waiting to hear from Jim when they get up to the, because, you know, he's at a disadvantage. He can't see, he can't drive,
Yeah,
and
right.
it's kind of sad. So,
How did you get her through the border without getting in that enormous line?
oh, well, they take you through Nogales, and they must have a special place they go, because they just go right there, and then the ambulance met them. But they didn't go
Okay.
through Mariposa, they go through Nogales, and it was 11:30 last night anyway.
Well, that's
So-
after it's closed anyhow.
Yeah,
You know, if
Yeah.
you're interested in the border experience, we just crossed it 2 nights ago. It wasn't even night; it was middle of the afternoon, and we didn't spend more than 15 minutes waiting to get across the border. It felt like we were in a crowd, but what was really different was it seemed like they had every lane open, and so we didn't join a crowd until we were almost in the lane to pick a stall. It was really impressive. I think it's the first time I've pulled up to the Mariposa crossing and seen more than 2 or 3 bays open. It felt like all of them were open.
yeah, when I came through 2 weeks ago, that's how it was. I waited maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
was, I think, 6 cars in front of me, that was it, which was wonderful.
Yes,
So-
that's awesome.
Anyway,
Well, we wish the best
That's
to
my
your friend,
story.
Linda.
oh yeah, Jim and Lydia have been our friends since we met them right after we moved there like 13 years ago, so
It's
happy. Are you in Alaska?
not yet. I'm in Phoenix, but
Oh.
Emily and I are here waiting for our trip. We're going to be flying out this evening.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Happy travels.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So on this list of topics, I've only brought one more to the table, and I just thought it was fun. I thought you guys would appreciate it. It is a Life Hacker article on how to stock an apocalyptic pantry.
Fantastic. This is my style.
This is your style, your kind of topic. It's I don't know. I read that book, Cyberstorm. It was a recommendation a couple of weeks ago, and that story has really stuck with me. I mean, one of the things that really stuck with me is just how very quickly things fell apart in their fictitious world of New York when they lost power and they were snowed in and they didn't have internet access. How very quickly things just went spiraling down. And so I put this link in the lineup right after I'd read that book because it seemed like very straightforward information to what kind of things, if you hadn't thought of a shopping list for survival, this feels like somebody has done that for you. They've got things, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to put it on my screen here. It's dried beans, white rice,
freeze-dried fruits, vegetables, grains, powdered milk, miscellaneous, love that. Sugar,
Yeah.
dried spices, raw honey, vinegar, baking soda. Raw honey can also be good for like
Antibiotic stuff?
antibiotic stuff.
Yeah, really well
Liquor
known.
and instant coffee.
Definitely lots of liquor in an apocalyptic world. You need some shots of Jack Daniels.
This is to keep your sanity.
That's right. So, anyway, not much to say there. I just thought you guys would find some fun in it. Kind of the shopping list of dried goods that you probably should have sitting in some storage area, some cool, dry place in your house, just in case. There are places in the United States that go through rolling blackouts. We've had these super storms that have come through. And it's a good kind of prepper list.
White rice, so bland, but it can help you survive the apocalypse, so I guess it's not that bland. Bland until you've gone 3 days without food.
Apocalyptic rice.
Apocalyptic rice. Love it. Love to hear it and see it, I guess.
And as far as my topics go, I think we have reached the end of the list. I am happy to entertain any other people's topics. If you want to bring them up, now is the time. This is also a good time to get into some recommendations. If anybody's reading, using a website, using an app, watching a TV show or a movie, something you think the rest of us should know about, please share it now.
Changed their batteries last night. That was neat.
Yeah, you know, Emily's got a story about us. We, both our laptops
Died. The batteries just died. Mine had just like died and fizzled out with like no warning, which was wild because like that doesn't happen. Well, I guess it does.
Apparently
happen.
it does, yeah.
Apparently it does happen.
It went from hero to zero overnight, just dead. Like the battery didn't even exist in it.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then his battery like fucking fizzled up like a balloon. And like listen, man, you Prius that like even a little bit and it's gonna catch entirely on fire or explode or something.
Well, you know, what it did was it prompted me to go out to YouTube and look at some videos of, I think I shared last week, of inflated batteries. And just to set my mind at ease, I've dealt with inflated batteries before, but this was crazy. This was just like a balloon pillow. I had to take it out of the laptop because it was pushing the trackpad up and making it unusable. And I was really worried what would happen if it got pierced. So yeah, last night we had bought some new batteries for our laptops.
And we changed our laptop batteries together.
Together here at the kitchen table.
They provided the battery people provided some complimentary tools, and mines were way cooler, so we can tell who won here.
Yeah, you got the best tools. You know what was also very interesting is my Asus Windows laptop battery, which this is the third battery. The original battery this is now the second. No, this is the third time the original battery's been replaced. So there's something wrong with the design of my laptop, but it only cost me $25, whereas Emily's Chromebook.
This is my very first time I've replaced a battery in my Chromebook, and the battery's like $65.
$65 for her Chromebook. Now, her Chromebook is a hair newer than my Windows computer, isn't it? I think it's about a year newer than my
I have no idea.
My Windows computer. But my Asus, what was the point of? Oh, yeah, my Asus was $1,000 computer at the time. Her Chromebook was half that price. But the battery is almost three times the price as the battery for my computer. Maybe there's something to be said there, though, because this is the first time you've had to change the battery.
Yeah, this is the first time I've had to change a battery.
Whereas I am literally on my fourth battery for this laptop.
Our grandson was having problems with his iPhone, and he said that the port where he plugged the lightning in was broken, and it was just a piece of. Anyways, Papa took it, and what did you use, Bill? A toothpick?
Yeah, just a Q-tip, a toothpick, and a bit of cotton cloth and some isopropyl alcohol. I cleaned the port out. It took me about 5 or 6 swabs in there, and it was still coming out black with lint and stuff on it. It was half full of stuff. He was quite impressed. I went up at least one notch.
All right.
In respect, I'm sure.
Well, the comment was, Papa says, there, Avon, your phone is fixed at a technology or at a shop. That would have been a $50 thing. And he just looked him in the eye and said, and you did it for free.
Ah. The assumption these kids make. You'll pay.
16-year-olds, I tell you.
You'll pay in the end. You're talking to a 16-year-old right now.
I know.
Well, cool. What else do we have as we're winding down this latest meeting of the San Carlos Computer Club? Carol, you got any recommendations for us?
I don't have any recommendations. Haven't watched very much TV. Well, I've been watching actual TV, the series that I watch every week now that I'm home and at the TV. But I'm trying out a new technology for a continuous glucose monitor, and it's
But now we need your
similar to
camera.
the one.
Now we need your camera.
Well, no, because it's on my belly, and I'm not showing you guys.
It's not that kind of podcast.
So anyways, but it's kind of neat. It's a two-parter. So the sensor goes into your skin. It has a great big huge applicator. You put it in, and then you get a transmitter that has to snap into it. And then after 10 days, the sensor needs to be replaced. But my doctor this morning said that I am supposed to Google a Dexcom, Dexcom hack, and that there is a way to get around this 10-day maximum. You basically take the transmitter off, and then you kind of pretend that you've changed the sensor and re-put in the code off the sensor, and it activates for another 10 days, which is really good because these things are not cheap. The transmitter lasts for 90 days, but the sensors last for 10 days. And for 3 sensors in a box, it's like it's over $300.
Wow.
So the more you can get out of the sensors, the better off we are.
Well, and I would be concerned that the sensor deteriorates over time, and that's the reason they have such a conservative time limit on it. That it would still, like, you could hack it and it would still be useful, but I would imagine what you're looking at is a product that over time will become unreliable, and so they have just set the lowest, you know, that really conservative estimate of how long that sensor will continue to be good at 10 days.
Right. Yeah, and because it's medical and people are making decisions on what the readings are, they probably will only, you know,
may even
cover their butts.
You know, the way this stuff is working, they may not even be able to get medical approval from the FDA unless they're that conservative with.
Yeah. Well, the other company, Freestyle, they have 14 days on each sensor. And they always talk about how, you can swim, you can bathe, you can shower in these things. And I've had a terrible time with them falling off. The adhesive, 1, irritates my skin, and 2, it just does not stay on. And then you have to buy a patch to put over top of it. You have to cut, you have to, all this kind of stuff. And they don't stay on either. This one that I'm talking about now, the Dexcom, they provide you with these covers that go over and help with the adhesive.
Now this is free of charge. This is for blood sugar monitoring, is that right?
Yeah. Glucose, continual glucose monitoring. Oh, and this one, like the other one, I have to scan. I have to take my phone up against it, press it up against it. And if I don't scan every 4 hours, it loses some information. And, you have to scan every 4 hours. So during the night, whatever. This one transmits every 5 minutes. You do not have to, scan it. It just transmits every 5 minutes.
Well, that's not. I wonder, can it be coupled with an automatic pump, an automatic insulin pump?
Yes, it can.
Well, that's the future,
Dexcom
isn't it? You're almost a robot now.
Yeah, I saw a meme the other day, and it said, how ironic is it that computers are now asking us to prove that we're not robots?
Yeah. How very funny. I wonder at what point when we start using these augmentations, there's going to be a fine line between human, cyborg, and robot in there somewhere.
2003, one of the high school kids where I was subbing said that I was a cyborg.
Cyborg overlords, let's go.
Well, Cheryl, would you mind typing the name of your product into our documents so I could do a little more research on it? I find it fascinating. You said it was a Dexcom?
Yeah, I'm looking for a Dexcom hack. So Dexcom 6G, I guess it's a Dexcom.
Okay, I think that came up on my search. started talking. 8 tips and hacks for the Dexcom G6. Is that what you're talking about? Right.
Yeah.
How I hack
A
my
CGM
G6
is a continuous glucose monitor.
CGM. G6 Dexcom
Yeah.
GCM. Is that it?
Yeah. Oh, GCM. Yes, I put CGM, but glucose continuous monitor.
Oh, they've got it written here. CGM. Continuous glucose monitor. CG.
Oh, continuous glucose monitor. Yeah.
And it's the 6th that you're using. I see there's a G5 and a G4, but you're using the 6th, the latest one. This might be the article you're looking for. How I hack my G6 Dexcom CGM. I haven't had a chance to read it, but I'll stick it in our chat. Oh,
Yeah, I was looking at one on YouTube the other day.
I'm overwhelming my computer. Oh, man. Even worse, I'm clicking on the wrong stuff to overwhelm it with. Yeah, this is one of the articles that pops up.
So how many times a day do you have to use insulin?
Oh, is
Starting tomorrow, when I pick it up this afternoon, I'm going to take 1 shot a day, and we'll see how we do.
this person says, I love the G6. I'm so excited about it. Sorry, Paul, go ahead.
If somebody was a brittle diabetic, it would be critical, I guess, to know your constant.
Well, the people that are on the pump are usually on 2 different kinds. I'm just going to inject the one, they call it a basal, which goes for a long time. And if I need at meal times, then I'll have to use a different needle or something like that.
Cheryl, you haven't mentioned that I can be notified if you have a high or a low on my phone. I can monitor. It alerts me if she went low, and that's the critical one.
Oh, that's really cool.
A lot of people don't realize they're low, and they can go into a very, very dangerous space. And somebody that's not a diabetic gets notified, they can at least do something.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's got alerts and stuff on it. It keeps alerting that it's too high right now because I'm not on enough. I need to take some insulin. I've had my transplants and they were doing pretty good, but it's 6 years from the last one, so they're starting to fail. And yeah, so we're going to try insulin for a while.
Well, that's cool. I mean, for those folks that are having to deal with that stuff, it's neat that the technology is getting more sophisticated. I know it's been a long time goal of Apple to include glucose monitoring on their watch, and they just have not come up with the system yet. But can you imagine when we get to that point, you can, like I can already follow my heart rate over time, a historic EKG of how my heart is doing. And can you imagine being able to do that with a glucose monitor just on your wrist?
Well, the difficulty is that the glucose monitor has
The Dexcom G6 sensor can be
tiny
and
needle.
you can extend the sensor life by another 10 days or even more. In this video, I'm going to show you 2 easy ways how you
Who's that?
Sorry, I was...
Anyway, the glucose monitors requires a small needle that sits inside under the skin, down into the skin. And most people with Apple Watches aren't going to put up with that.
Right. Yeah. No, actually, I think that's the issue, is that they're looking for a whole different way to identify glucose changes that is not intrusive. And they just haven't been successful. There's these ways of monitoring skin color and your blood pressure that they've played around with, and they want to correlate it with changes in blood glucose, but they haven't been successful.
Yeah, because they have to puncture the skin. They have to get into the subcutaneous level. They've tried sensors, yeah, like the oxygen one where you stick your finger in the little thing and it reads. Yeah, but they have not been successful. They've been talking about it for 20 years.
They've got that sensor working on the watch now. They can give you your O2 levels right off the watch because they've got a little camera that's taking pictures of the change in your blood over time. And they've been able to correlate that data with changes in your O2 levels. So I know they're looking at...
Just use a laser.
Say that again, Paul?
Use a laser that goes into your skin.
Yeah, the laser, yeah.
Pretty soon it'll be easy because you'll just have a wireless computer implant chip in your head, and then it can just share that information with your watch and your phone.
Yeah,
I don't
Fred
know if
can
I
walk
want to
around
share
on
what's
his
in my
cruise
head all
ship
the
now.
time.
Yeah.
They'll know Fred's blood alcohol level as he's walking around on the cruise ship.
Could you imagine, Fred? You're on the cruise ship, you belly up to the bar, and they're like, "No, I can see you're done."
Well, I haven't got the drink package. I just can't see paying $10, or $6 for a beer.
Right? Would they let you? Would they let you come offshore with a bottle? Like, could you go onshore, grab some supplies, and come back?
One bottle of wine when you get on the boat.
Oh, that's it. Not even like the local alcohol you might want to partake in on the boat.
Well, you can buy your alcohol, and then as you come back on the boat, they confiscate it, store it for you, and they give it back to you when you come back to the States.
You have so effectively answered my question. I didn't even know that was a question until you gave me the answer.
The answer is it's a racket.
It is a racket.
Scott, I put the other YouTube link. This guy, he does a lot of stuff with type 1 diabetic talks. And I'm not sure what nationality he is, but he's very easy to listen to and he explains things really well. So that's on the YouTube. I put that one in too.
Well, I will share that out as well as our other links and notes about our discussion when I post this. I don't know how many of you really pay attention to it, but we are a week behind posting last meeting. It hasn't gone out yet. It's all because we're in transit right now, but I'll get it caught up very shortly here.
I was going to...
Go ahead, Fred.
Well, if we're between subjects...
Absolutely.
I don't remember if it's been mentioned, U.S. TV Now.
Yeah, we've talked about it for years. Do you have something new about it?
No, I just got it, and I can watch Formula One races on it, which is nice.
Hey, how about giving us an update? How many channels do you have access to?
I haven't tried it on the boat. I'll have to try it and get back to you next week.
Well, regardless, when you signed up for it, they promised you so many different channels, right?
It must be 25 or 30. They're all in the Pennsylvania area, and they're just regular TV channels.
Right.
And, off the air. So you get all these wonderful commercials and things like that.
All that stuff we love about TV. But it's the idea, it's the same customer that would be interested in YouTube TV, right? Because it's a package of live channels and you pay a monthly subscription to have access.
That's it. I think I'm paid $30 or close to it.
Well, now it would be very interesting to compare and contrast the two because you know that YouTube TV, that's like $65 a month. That's like a cable package now. It's funny how we've gotten to this point where we're willing to use our internet to watch TV and we're paying prices close to cable package prices to do it.
Yep.
Well, guys, I think we need to call this meeting to an end. Emily and I are still getting organized to get out of here, and I'm sure you guys have things to do as well. If there's any last-minute things to add, this is the time to do it. Otherwise, we're going to be saying our goodbyes.
Well,
And-
safe flights, guys. I hope everything's good when you get to Alaska, and say hi to Mom and Dad.
We can't wait, and we will be coming at you live next Tuesday from the Bed and Breakfast in Anchorage, Alaska.
Heck on.
Tech on,
Okay.
guys.
Quick question. What time zone are you going to be?
I'll be an hour behind the Arizona time zone. So where I am now, it's 11. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock in Anchorage right now.
So what time are you doing the meeting at? Still 10 o'clock Mountain Time or Pacific Time?
I don't think I'll change the time of the meeting. I mean, I'll change the time of the meeting, but I don't think it'll change for anybody. I'll be doing it at a different time for me, but it'll
Yeah.
be the same time for you guys.
Okay, so 10 o'clock Pacific Time.
Yeah. Well, 10 o'clock Arizona time.
Okay,
Mountain
Arizona.
Central time, we don't recognize daylight saving.
Exactly.
All right, guys, until next
Okay.
Tuesday.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Fred. All right, well, that was it. This is Emily and Scott coming at you from the San Carlos Computer Club and International Computer Solutions. The Apprentice Tech and I are on our way to Alaska. We have meetings like this every Tuesday at 10 o'clock Mountain Central Time, or better to say Arizona or Sonoran time, because neither of those states recognize daylight saving. If you like what you see, you can find more of it at scclub.org. And if you're looking for help out there, well, we have solutions for you. Get a hold of us at internationalcs.net. You can contact me directly by emailing scott@internationalcs.net. Thanks for being with us this afternoon, and tech on.
Tech on. Mwah.